And now, coming to you live from Studio B in beautiful downtown Paris, Tennessee, My Paris TV and Paris Production Studios presents Keel Media Network's #1 rated program, The Mike Weatherford Show. Now here is your host, Mike Weatherford.
Hey folks, it's Tuesday, 7 p.m. You know what that means. That's right, it's the Mike Weatherford Show. We got a good show lined up tonight. We are carrying on our Meet the Candidate series. We're going to be talking to the sheriff and the candidate out of Carroll County, our neighbors down in Carroll County, Huntington area down there. But we had a good River Jam 2022, man. That's in the books. It was the bomb. We're so lucky to have that here in Paris. I mean, we're lucky to have something like that. But next, we got the PBR coming to town, folks. We got the July the 1st and 2nd. We got Cody Nance and Magic Man himself, Travis McLeese, coming in next week right here in Studio B. We're going to get all the behind the scenes and everything that's going on at the PBR. Also, don't forget, we have the Celebrity Bull Ride that's sponsored by the Mike Weatherford Show coming up also, man. We got it going. We're going to be live producing, doing all this next July the 1st and the 2nd. Plus, next week we got the folks at Hyperion X coming on about their titanium mining over in Camden, Tennessee, man. I don't know nothing about this, but I'm going to be joined by Tater Hayes, man. David Hayes, he knows mining. That's what he does for a living, so he just mines gravel. He'll be joining me next week while we talk to the people and find out what's going on in Camden about this titanium mining. Also, don't forget, Saturday, June the 25th, here locally, my old boxing club, the Paris Downtown Boxing Gym, presents Havoc in Henry County. Saturday, June the 25th. A lot of good amateur fighting. They're coming from several surrounding states. It's $5 a ticket. Come on out there and support this boxing club. You don't know how much it does to help these kids by you coming out there, sitting in there and watching these guys box. You're going to see some stuff here that you didn't think was around in Paris. We got the PBR. We just had the River Jam. We got boxing. We've got everything it takes. If you got nothing to do in Henry County, it's your own fault. You just ain't looking. But like I said, we got the Carroll County Sheriff candidates on here tonight when we continue our Meet the Candidate series we got going. But I couldn't do this without my political analyst, Mr. Patrick Smith. Welcome back, Patrick.
What's up, Mike? How are you, sir? Brother? You doing good?
I'm doing fine, friend. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Happy first day of summer.
It's here, ain't it? Longest day of the year.
Oh, my gosh.
Tomorrow's, they'll be shorter.
Tomorrow it'll be better.
That's right, it'll be short. I think it's like 9 seconds.
It's still gonna be hot though.
It's gonna be hotter than hell.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
gonna be terrible, man. But I work out in it every day, so it don't bother me.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm tough.
Are you?
Yeah, kinda.
Sort of. Well, the boxing club thing.
Yeah.
You used to.
A little bit.
Was you a golden? What is it? Golden
Yeah,
gloves
I did a little of
and all
that.
Yeah.
I did a little all of it. And Derek Moon, the coach up here, man, him and I used to train a professional fighter. So I helped him get that started, and naturally, when you get old as I do, them young kids, they're faster than I am now.
Yeah.
They hit me, then I block them.
Yeah.
You know, used to they couldn't hit me with a handful of mustard seeds, but now I'm older. You know, my face. You know, I can wear out their hands on my face.
It looks like you've done that time.
Yeah,
too.
I have. I'm
You
cut
have?
up. You're right.
Yeah.
Tell me about your trip to California,
Man,
brother.
California was exciting. It was different, totally different.
Well, sure, it's different.
It
It's
was.
California.
I'm telling you, man, totally different. I tried to do as much California stuff as I could. I ate avocado. I drank coffee. You know, from the time I got up in the morning till the time I went to bed.
Did you go surfing in that cold water?
Well, I thought about it. I went into that cold water and got cold and came back out. And no.
You know, everybody thinks California's so nice, that water's warm. That water's cold.
It is cold.
You got to go on the other coast sometimes to get to. Or you got to go a little bit further out.
Well, you know, we got the Gulf, and there's nothing better than that white sand down there. And
Are you going to move to California?
Well, if I could live in that place, in that area, yeah, and just stay right there all the time, yeah.
You know they're leaving there by the masses. You don't be the only U-Haul going to California.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. I was going to make sure.
No.
What do you think about tonight's show?
I think it's good.
We got the sheriff, Andy Dickson. We got his challenger, Tim Pratt.
This whole series has been enjoyable, and it's been educational.
It has.
For the public. I know lots of people have come up and you know weren't real sure, you know, about what being an independent is, or
That's right.
or which judge is for which, you know, which type of trials. So a lot of people have learned a lot. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about the people running for these offices.
Learned about what the office is.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's behind it.
Yeah.
Well, let's get it started.
Let's
Are
do
you
it.
ready?
Yes, sir.
We had a coin toss earlier, and Andy, the sheriff, Andy Dickson, he won the coin toss, and he allowed Mr. Tim Pratt, to come on first. Welcome to the show, Tim.
Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. So you are a candidate for the sheriff of Carroll County.
Yes, sir.
Well, tell me, who is Tim Pratt?
Well, how far back you want me to go?
You carry me back to wherever you want me to.
Well, when I graduated high school in 1985, I went into the Army, where I spent a little over 20 years. I've done several combat deployments. I retired in 2006, and been here in Carroll County since 2000. My family stayed here when I deployed to a couple of other assignments, and then when I retired, I moved back here and live on Big Buck Road in Tresvant, right outside of Tresvant. Right now, I'm currently with the Jackson Police Department, where I've been there almost 10 years, and I'm a sergeant in patrol there now. Really enjoy it. I mean, a lot of hard work, but I enjoy it. I enjoy going to work every day.
Is this the first time you've ever run for an office, or?
No, sir. Back in 2000 and I think it was 18. Is that right, Andy? 2018 for mayor. Yeah. And I was done with the current mayor that we had. The county was going down the toilet, and I decided I'd put my hat in the ring and try and make some changes.
Okay. So, what party are you running under? Are you a Democrat, Republican, Independent, or how are you?
I am a Republican from the soles of my feet to the top of my head. I'm a conservative Republican. I'm also what you guys call a constitutionalist. I believe that the Constitution governs our country, and law enforcement is governed by the Constitution, and we should behave ourselves in such manner.
So you're running with an R beside of your name?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You said you're a Republican from
Soles of my feet to the top of my
top
head.
of your head. Well, we have a term for a Republican being bona fide. Do you know? Are you a bona fide Republican as they
Well, I'll put it
define
to you
that?
this way: I've never voted for a Democrat in my life, and nothing against them. I just can't go with some of the stuff that they believe in, and their political views have gone so far to the left now that it's just atrocious, and I just can't bring myself to do it.
Do you feel that that your political affiliation is an important factor for the position that you're running for?
Yes, and let me tell you why. Because as a Republican, I believe in the rights of the people. We have to stand up for ourselves, and just because, like, I'm running for sheriff, just because we're in that position of authority, we still can't go in and impose our will on the general population just because we can. We have to be governed by the Constitution and by the laws of this state. And we all seen it. We see it on YouTube and everything else, how law enforcement just does sometimes whatever they want to do. And we just can't keep operating like that.
Let's introduce the sheriff. Sheriff Andy Dickson, welcome to the show.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting us.
I'm glad. Who exactly is Sheriff Andy Dickson?
I'm going to go back just a little further than Mr. Pratt. I am he started at high school. I am a lifelong Carroll County. I was actually born in the hospital at Milan, Tennessee, but parents and grandparents both from Carroll County. As far back as I can trace, I've lived in Carroll County my whole life, other than the 4 years that I went away to college, and I was home every weekend then. But a 1988 graduate of Huntington High School, and then a 1992 graduate of the University of Tennessee at Martin. Spent all of my life in Carroll County. Started to work as a reserve with the Carroll County Sheriff's Department in 1990. It would have been December of 1990, and then actually started full-time once I graduated from the University of Tennessee at Martin. Started full-time in 92 working in the jail, and worked in the jail and then worked my way out. I tell folks I've done everything from push a broom there to current job as sheriff. Spent some time as a deputy, spent some time as a canine officer, spent some time to where I was assigned to the 24th Judicial Drug and Violent Crime Task Force, and then come back from that to a sergeant's position and a night shift supervisor with the sheriff's office until I run for office in 2010, and Mr. Pratt run against me at that time. We were there was actually several folks on the ballot that year, and and then have been elected to terms again in 2014 and then 2018, and currently seeking my fourth term right now.
4 terms, okay. Are you running independent?
I am, and I won't try to hide the fact I did run as a Democrat the first time that I run, and at the time was a lifetime Democrat, and my family had been Democrats, and a member of the Democrat committee for years, and but as Mr. Pratt said, some of the things that have went on at the federal level, I just can't bring myself to be affiliated with some of those things.
The platform of the national party is what you're trying to say.
That is correct.
Right.
Some of the things at the national level.
There's good local Democrats, and on the local level they are, but I understand,
And I'm not, as Mr. Pratt said there, he said he's never voted for a Democrat in his life. I'm not that way. At the local level, I look at the individual and what that individual stood for and what he's done. So, and I've been told some things, I'm sort of to the point that I think that a judge, a DA, and a sheriff should run independent, because anybody that has the ability to take away your freedom shouldn't be based upon a political affiliation or anything like that. I've told several folks, when 911 rings at my office, I don't ask them, are you a Democrat or are you a Republican? I ask them, what can we do for you, or what do you need? What's your problem? So, like I say, at the local level, to me, it's more about the person than it is the party, and that's the reason I choose to run as independent.
Well, and that's part of why we asked that, Sheriff, that question, because to some people it means a lot in certain races. To some people, if you're not affiliated with a certain political party, then you can't even be considered a candidate. So
I think if folks would go back and check my voting record, you would probably find that I am as well a bona fide Republican. As y'all like to talk about the bona fide.
I love that
word.
I think
it's just a fun word.
It's a fun
I
word.
think if you would go back and check my voting record, you would find that I was as well a bona fide.
Remember the movie Brother Wartow?
No.
You don't remember that movie?
Oh,
Yeah.
Bona fide, when
Yeah.
bona fide.
Yeah, that word, it's just a cool word.
Yeah,
to
it's
say.
just fun to say.
It's a
an old
bona fide.
old southern
word, bona fide. I don't even know what the heck it means, really. But it's
It means
a good
you're a
word.
Republican around here.
That's right. That's right.
I would point out that I believe Mr. Pratt run as an independent when he run against me the first time.
That's
and,
absolutely right.
And in 2012, when you run for mayor, you run as independent as well.
Well, the reason I did that because I was paying for everything out of my own pocket. I believe an independent, if you're going to run as an independent, you can't take money from a person or a organization that buys your signs and buys your things like that, because when you do those things, you're no longer an independent. Now you are beholden to the people that have contributed to things. When I ran as an independent, every sign, every newspaper, everything, I bought and paid for it on my own, out of my own pocket. Every sign that you see put up right now in Carroll County, I put those signs out. I don't have a conglomerate of people going around putting in my signs. I do that with my son.
And I think that's a fair point. We should get to that and move through the introductions, Mike, and we can roll on into debate questions.
Mr. Pratt, what is, I was listening to him. Your experience in law
It was
enforcement.
good. It was definitely an interesting
it was
point.
getting
but
back and forth
I
there.
hated to leave the sheriff out on that topic.
What is your experience in law enforcement? You said you work for the
Jackson Police
Jackson Police.
Department.
Is that the only experience you've had the last 10 years down there, or did you work locally in Carroll
I
County?
worked for Milan for a year before I went over to JPD, and I've done some part-time work over in Tresvant, while I was over there.
Right.
But I agree. When I put myself through the academy, I didn't go to a department. I used my GI Bill from where I retired from the Army, and I put myself through the academy, and then that's how I got started in law enforcement, 2012.
What is your experience in law enforcement? You said
As I said earlier, like I say, when I was in college, my actual major was natural resource management, as in like park management and things of that nature. But I took enough classes to have a minor in criminal justice. So I picked up a lot of interest for law enforcement when I was in college through the criminal justice classes. And then Douglas Brandon got elected to sheriff in 1990, and I had the opportunity at that time to come into the reserve program. So as I said earlier, started out at the bottom as a reserve, and then was offered a full-time job in the jail when I graduated from college. And like I say, the Carroll County Sheriff's Department is the only full-time job I've known as an adult. Like I say, straight out of college, straight to work there, and have been there
how
ever
many
since.
years?
In October of this year, it'll be 30 years.
30 years.
Sheriff, Mr. Pratt alluded to something that I think the taxpayers in your county and as well in other counties, we've asked a similar question, would be interested to find out your view on hiring people and then the county paying for them to go and become a law enforcement officer, and what is that return on that investment? Does Carroll County have a contract program where they're required to work with your department for so many months or years, or how do y'all do that? Is that an issue in Carroll County?
I'll be totally honest with you. We have sent a few folks to the academy recently, but it hasn't been where we've had to send many folks. We've been able to, not bragging, but we've been able to cherry pick from other departments whenever, like I say, whenever we have an opening, we've generally been able to approach somebody from another department that's already proved themselves and been able to forego having to send somebody to the academy and pay that. If we are going to send somebody to the academy, we have civil service at the Carroll County Sheriff's Office. So we have to first have somebody that's in the top 5 of the civil service test. So, we do have a few that are working now that have come up through the civil service, but it has not been a problem of losing those. I hadn't had to address that. I hadn't had anybody that's left before like a contract would have been up.
Not butting in, but that has been an issue with other departments. You're like you said, you're blessed or lucky or whatever. We've had other sheriffs in here talking about they spend the money to train them.
And then Carroll County cherry picks them.
Yeah,
and that's just, that's a term I call it.
I understand that was a joke. That was a joke.
But like I say, it's saved us lots of money. And I actually, the last one I hired told me he took an $11,000 a year pay cut to come to work for our department, because he wanted to be a part of the team.
I've said this to other sheriffs and judges and all that's been on that show, and if people's going to think, hell, Mike, you got family everywhere, but I do have family in Carroll County. The Rich, the last name Rich and Townsends, they're all kin to me. So I have a stake in Carroll County, I believe, because my family's over and I go to Carroll County. Yeah. And was you done?
I was just going to redirect that question back. So you had said that you went through on the GI Bill, you paid for yourself to go to school. So in leading on that same question, how would you feel if bringing on staff to Carroll County, potentially you go in, you may have to get rid of some staff. You may decide that you've got some that he thinks were great and you think need to go, and you have to go out and start hiring. How would you handle bringing on new criminal justice grads or whomever that want to go into law enforcement, but they got to go through the academy? How would you handle that?
Well, what I would do is, in law enforcement, we have to progress with times. We can't stand still. So what we're going to be looking for is some of the younger, more, how do I want to say it? Their minds work a little different. They want to be part of an organization, but they don't want the stigmatism that goes along sometimes with law enforcement. So what we'll do is we'll start recruiting out of, let's say, the National Guard, those guys that are returning from overseas assignments and veterans and stuff, because they have the weapons training that we need. They have the maturity in their minds that they can handle the job. And then we'll also go to our local colleges on their college career days and stuff like that, because everybody knows you have to, you need to be 21 years old to go to the academy and all that stuff. But we're going to have to step outside our norm and go and recruit these younger generation people to help us gain into the technology. Like in Jackson, we have computers in every car. We have something they call geofencing. It's where we can monitor where the patrol cars are at, so that we can dispatch the car that's closest to the thing. And these younger generation, these young minds, they're able to snap that up real quick. And those are the type of people that we have to go in and start recruiting. Yes, I can go to the JPD as a sheriff and say, look, yeah, you're going to take a $10,000 a year pay cut or a $5,000 a year pay cut, but I'll give you a take-home car, or I'll give you this, and maybe pull a few from there, pull a few from Milan, but that's doing them an injustice. So we need to recruit the new upcoming people that want to be here for 30 years and make changes in law enforcement.
Thanks.
Sheriff, what's some of the hardest parts of your job, being the sheriff?
Well, actually, I had 18 years experience working at the Carroll County Sheriff's Department when I got elected in 2010. And I've often told folks that it was overwhelming to step into the job of sheriff at that point. I have come to realize that being the sheriff is a lot of times not about law enforcement. It's about being a good manager. Like I say, we have over 80 employees, 80 full-time employees that we have to deal with. I had to keep a fleet of cars running. I had to make sure that the courts are cared for.
Buy $5 a gallon gas. But go
Buy
ahead.
$5 a gallon gas, and enough
Steal
of
that money from somewhere else.
enough of that to keep all our cars running. I'm in charge of close to a $6 million a year budget, and like I say, I've heard my opponent mention the word conservative several times, and I would dare to say I'm probably 95. I'm more conservative than 95% of the Republicans in Carroll County. Like I say, of the 12 years that I've been sheriff, I've never had a budget overage. I've turned in money to the county all 12 years. I'm on pace to do that again this year.
That's unheard of.
Never had to go back and ask a county for more money. I may have to transfer it from one line item to another line item to cover. Like I say, I've had to transfer some money into overtime, but I had taken it out of the regular deputy salary. So like I say, I've never had to go back and ask a county for more money, but like I say, and I've done everything I can to save the county money. Like I say, I've worked through the LESO program through the military to get military equipment that we can use and then later sell, and things of that nature, and used our drug program to help pay for administrative vehicles and all the officers or all the vehicles for the narcotics folks. So,
what are some of the biggest changes you've seen in your 10 years as sheriff?
In my 10 years as sheriff, I think Mr. Pratt alluded to it a little earlier there, that we're seeing a different person now, a different type of worker. Some of the younger crowd, to me, I don't see where he's talked about that for 30 years of retirement. It's more about what they can get right then. Most of the younger crowd don't look at the 30 years that they're going to be there to retire. They're looking at the today, and it seems to be a little different. I have two employees, one retiring June 30th and one retiring August the 31st, or the end of August, and they represent 64 years plus of time at the Carroll County Sheriff's Office, one of them being my mother and the other being my chief deputy. Like I say, both of those will be retiring shortly, but
that's a lot.
That's lots of experience to lose, So, but like I say, and I'm blessed with a great department right now. And like I say, each department's only as good as its weakest link. I was blessed in 2010 to come into a good department and a good nucleus, and have been able to add to that. And of course, I've had some folks leave over the years, some retire. I had the horror of losing one to COVID. My jail administrator was, I lost him to COVID whenever that I think he contracted through the jail. But like I say, it's only as good as your weakest link. And
what changes do you think, Mr. Pratt, that the Carroll County Sheriff's Department is in need of? Some of the biggest changes you think that needs to happen, in your opinion?
In my opinion, our response times to our scenes is not where it needs to be. I've talked to people out in my campaign and stuff, talking about 45 minutes to an hour response time on calls. And by the time, if you have to wait 45 minutes for a first responder to get there, you can handle it yourself. You might as well call them, tell them don't come after 45 minutes.
What are you going to do to fix that?
Well,
if you got elected, how would you fix the?
Well, see, that's where the geofencing and the monitoring comes in, where the dispatchers will be able to look and see where each car is at. And let's say they want to that they were going to send this car, but he's too far away. But then they see it, look on the monitor, and they see another car closer. They can dispatch that car, which will cut down the response time on it. There's technology out there that will allow us to monitor and see where our assets are at, so that we can deploy our assets in a timely manner on it.
Do you think 45 minutes? That Carroll County's got pretty good roads.
Let me butt in a second. Sheriff, how big a county do you have?
599 square miles.
How far is it from one side of the eastern Is it longer or narrower? Which way?
It's almost square.
Okay. Well, how far is it mile wise from one to the stream to the other?
If you go from corner to corner, it could be 45 miles, and if you catch it during we don't have rush hour in Carroll County, but if you catch it,
rush hour is always when I am trying to go through McKenzie at the wrong time. That's always rush hour.
If you catch it at a time to where folks are changing shifts or getting off work, it could be an hour to go from corner to corner.
What did Benton County tell us theirs was? 60-something miles?
62 or 3 miles.
I would love to have some of the things that Mr. Pratt's talking about.
That's what I was going to ask you. You heard his dream.
We have, my chief deputy had worked tirelessly whenever we got our last CAD system to try to make it to where we could do that. And it's just a money thing that it's going to cost, because to put a computer, as he said, in each car, that's the computer's really the cheap part whenever you think about it, because then you've got to have an internet card for each car. You got to pay the monthly subscription for each one of them, and like I say, it's just a thing of money wise.
How would you fund this?
Well, we have to fund it. I mean, there's things that we have to go and do certain things, and one of those is putting computers in the car. I mean, we're moving in a technology age that going out and writing down the address on a pencil and paper and trying to find it on and using your TomTom or Garmin to try and find an address, it is gone the way of the dodo bird. We have to do these things. Another thing, we're going to implement body cameras. We have got to move into an area where every officer that we have has to have a body camera, not only for their safety, but for the safety of the public, to ensure that everybody stays on the straight and narrow. And when we talk about it's a money thing, we can find money to do other things, but we don't seem to be able to find the money to do the things that we need to do and buy the things that we need to buy. And we're going to have to find the money. We're going to have to move into the new age of law enforcement.
Can
go ahead.
I gotta jump in here. The concept, this is something that with sheriffs, money always comes up. And one of the things that I've been learning and following up on about law enforcement and the economy is the lower the crime, can be, or lowering the crime can be achieved by improving the economy. So people have jobs, there's resources available. You're talking about being able to generate more money with the same level of industry or whatever. So what I want to know, should the sheriff play an active role in economic development in these counties to help offset and to bring along, because in my world, and I'm saying this, I'm a little off topic here, Mike, but it's just in my world as an engineer, we are problem solvers, but we also have to have a client base that wants to come and work for us. So we have to also help bring in clients and then solve their problems. So I'm asking.
You're absolutely right. But see, that's the fortunate thing about us hiring a new Republican mayor. We have got new industry coming into our area, so it can offset the cost of our property tax. So we have new revenue coming into our county now. So we can access those new sources of income to try and help our law enforcement. And the sheriff should be hand in hand with the mayor and trying to get these people saying, look, this is what our crime rate is, and this is how we're doing it, and this is how we're trying to stop it. And we have to work hand in hand with these organizations to develop a more fluid sheriff's department with our local industrial board and stuff like that.
And I guess my question goes also along with, can the sheriff, or do you see a way that the sheriff can help offset his expenditures? Well, I think at one time, Henry County they were growing some vegetables and may have helped offset some costs or something. Are there programs?
Well, I know Sheriff Dickson, he's got
to pay for a computer.
It would take a lot of tomatoes. Yeah.
Well, I know they've got a garden out there that they try and work stuff like that, but I've heard of other sheriff's departments opening during deer season, their processes. People donate deer meat to them and they process it, and that's what the inmates get. And
No, they can't do that. It's got to be USDA approved.
right.
They give it away. This right here gripes me, Sheriff. You can correct me where I'm wrong. It's
You are
got
correct.
past the USDA. It ain't good enough to give the prisoners, but I can go down there and get me a sack of sausage and I can go home and eat it.
It's
Go
insane.
figure. It is insane. So I'm not arguing with you that you can't sell it. You can't feed it to the prisoners.
So why can't we hire or have a USDA inspector come in and inspect it?
Well, that would be something maybe the sheriff.
I know
could
they
do.
charge.
They're
when I
on
go-
my ear to
that-
go to a
that's-
break. They're on my ear, but I'm gonna give you. He said some stuff. I want you to rebuttal it and what you think, and then I got to go to a break.
There are several points I want to make here, and Mr. Pratt did mention as I campaigned in 2010 on a garden, and we have more than one garden. We got what I call a show garden in front of the jail that to allow folks to be able to see that there is one, and then we have another garden at a off-site that you can't see from the road. We grow tomatoes,
Some of your
cucumbers,
fruits can go.
okra.
Some of your vegetables can go through the jail.
Yes, we do. We do feed all of the stuff we grow there. We also partner with a local farmer, and we put up several thousand ears of sweet corn every year. We have a local farmer that plants about 10 acres, and when he gets all he wants and all he's going to have, he will call us, and we'll take inmates out and pick what's left, clean it up. And to sort of touch also there about, I do have a very good working relationship with our mayor. I had a good working relationship with our past mayor. And you was talking about there, when I took over in 2010, I took over a jail that was decertified by the state. They had come in and basically shut our state down and taken away state inmates. If y'all know anything about the state inmates, the state pays the county to house those.
$70-something.
No, we could only wish. It was 39. I think it's gone to 42. But like I say, so whenever they shut down our jail and took our state inmates, like I say, the sheriff's department at that time was bringing in around $200,000 to $225,000 a year on what's called a state board bill. Well, to get our jail certification back, they put us under a plan of action, and the state tells you you're going to build this jail and you're going to build it this big or whatever. So when I opened the new jail, like I say, I was in charge of an $8 million jail, and we finished that jail on time and on budget. Used a lot of inmate labor to help with that as well. Whenever we was able to, they demolished a lot of the old stuff where they renovated, but like I say, they made us build this jail, and they told us what size it was going to be. So when we opened, it don't cost me any more to run that jail full than it does to run it at half capacity. So I took on other state inmates. I took state inmates. Everybody was overcrowded, so I would call my local counties, especially females. We could tell that the females were the largest growing segment of the inmate population. So we asked that we have more beds designated for females. So we were able to take state inmates from others, and our average board bill went from about $200,000 a year to almost $750,000 a year. So that was a $500,000 a year, every year that we put back into the general fund.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think being state certified is worth the cost of being state certified so you can stay? Does it offset the cost? I've asked a lot of sheriffs this same question.
I think
you have to have more deputies, you have to have more jailers. Does it offset the cost at $42 a day per inmate?
Well, of course, you don't have to have any more guards or any more jailers or anything to be state certified. Where your state certification comes in is that if you get sued and you're not state certified means that you're meeting the minimum standards according to them. So if you're not meeting their minimum standards and you get sued, you stand a whole lot better chance to lose that lawsuit. So,
well, I got to take a commercial break. I wanted to give you a chance to rebuttal, and I'm like you, Mr. Pratt. I have a problem with that myself. We can't feed the inmates, and I'm sure the sheriff can understand too. You can't feed the inmates that deer meat, but us working class people go down there and get a damn box of meat.
That's right.
I don't understand. All right, folks, we got to take a break. We're gonna do a little commercial break. About 5 minutes, we'll be back. We're gonna continue this Meet the Candidate with the Carroll County Sheriff, Andy Dickson, and Mr. Pratt, Tim Pratt. We'll be right back. And here's how you can find them. Here's their Facebook. It's Andy Dickson, Facebook.com, Andy Dickson, Dixon88, and Tim Pratt. Vote Tim Pratt for Carroll County Sheriff. Get on there and find them on Facebook. And we're going to do our part to let you meet these guys and show the contrast between the two. So that's a very important position. So we'll be right back after the commercial break.
This presentation of the Mike Weatherford Show is being brought to you by...
Don't forget, August the 4th, your friend, my friend, and our friend, David Hayes, is running for County Commissioner, District 4. Don't be a hater, vote for Tater.
This has been a paid political ad for David Hayes for County Commissioner. Paid for by David Hayes.
With a new name and a new location, Paris Power Sports is now Paris Outdoor Power. What's not changing, though, is the same great quality service and commitment to your satisfaction. Leading the area since 2016 as your bad boy and skag mower dealer, Paris Outdoor Power will continue to proudly bring only the best in outdoor equipment, including now TYM tractors, as well as outstanding, reliable service that is centered on and committed to creating long-lasting relationships. Come see our new showroom today, Paris Outdoor Power. Mow with an attitude and power on.
Napa Auto and Truck Parts. With over 95 years of experience, you can trust the Napa know-how.
Take Me Back Cafe. Delicious home-cooked family-style meals in a nostalgic, warm, and inviting atmosphere. Take Me Back Cafe. Great for the entire family.
And the attorneys at Hawley & McAdams, who with over 90 years of combined experience, pride themselves in competent, thorough representation, utilizing their vast experience in a broad array of practice areas. Voted favorite law firm in the 14th Annual Reader's Choice Award, Hawley & McAdams are proud and honored to serve you.
Shattering the image of standard nursing homes and committed to enhancing the human spirit, Charter Senior Living of Paris is focused on removing barriers that can prevent your success and a better life. A unique boutique community with many wonderful amenities, we offer various levels of quality care in an apartment and floor plan of your choosing. Learn more and request your free resource guide at charterparis.com or give us a call today. When physical assistance becomes a necessity, enjoy the peace of mind you deserve. The decision to buy or sell a home can be a difficult one, and it's important to have someone you can trust during that process. Landmark Realty is that someone, committed to serving you and to building solid, long-lasting relationships. Our experienced real estate agents with established professional networks work hard to help you find your perfect dream home. Browse our wide variety of homes at landmarkrealtytn.com or stop in at either of our 2 locations in Camden or Paris. Don't live in the past. Let Landmark move you into your future.
Whether it's real estate, business, criminal, or family law, civil litigation, estate planning, or even personal injury, attorneys Andy Clark, and Chad Cox of Clark & Cox PLLC provide the experience and trusted representation that you're looking for. A long-standing Paris PI Reader's Choice favorite, Clark & Cox address your legal issues using the team approach, setting into motion a strong and highly competent and capable staff to assist you with all your legal needs. To find out more about how we can help you, visit clarkandcoxlaw.com or call us at 731-642-4446.
L.I. Smith & Associates, a full-service engineering and surveying company that combines 40 years of industry expertise with new cutting-edge technology to provide innovative solutions to real-world problems. Headquartered in Paris, the professionals at L.I. Smith are dedicated to providing high-quality surveying and civil engineering services throughout Henry County and the surrounding region. L.I. Smith & Associates, industry expertise, innovative solutions, and community-focused. 54 Fuel Mart, a great place to eat with friendly staff and some of the best gas prices in town. Stop in for a bite to eat or get treated like family. That's 54 Fuel Mart, 1213A West Wood Street in Paris.
Kenny Christopher has been truly honored to represent his home county of Benton as your sheriff for the past 8 years and would like to thank all its citizens for affording him that opportunity. Kenny recognizes that no one can do this job alone and that he has been truly blessed by God with a supportive family as well as a fully dedicated, sacrificial, and hardworking staff of employees. Election Day is coming August 4th, and Kenny Christopher humbly asks for your continued support and vote for Sheriff of Benton County.
This has been a paid political ad for Sheriff of Benton County, Tennessee, paid for by Kenny Christopher for Sheriff.
Welcome back to the Meet Your Candidate. We've got the sheriff candidates. Patrick?
We've
Carroll?
got, yes, Mr. Tim Pratt, Mr. Andy Dickson, and learning quite a bit about them so far, their points of view.
The contrast is what we're trying
Getting the contrast. You know, we want to be able to, it's hard to look at signs on the side of the road at 55 miles an hour and get a feel for who these people are. And this is what we're getting into.
Yeah, you're correct. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on with it.
Yes, sir.
We started with him on the first time, so I'll come back with you. What is your proudest implemented that you've done as the sheriff? Policies or stuff that you put into place since you've been sheriff it's your proudest?
Probably the thing that I'm the proudest of is our school resource program. Whenever I started in 2010, I think there was one school resource officer that was provided by the McKenzie Police Department at that time. That program went away at some point there, and then the McKenzie Police Department, the McKenzie School District, they approached me and asked if I would put a school resource officer in their school, and I did put a school resource officer in their McKenzie school system. And when that happened, I actually, Carroll County is different than most. We have 5 special school districts rather than one special school district. So whenever I put a school resource officer in the McKenzie school system, I actually went to the other 4 superintendents and said, look, this is the deal that I give them. I'm willing to extend that deal to all of you. And at the time, at one time, I had 4 of the 5 special school districts. I had officers in 4 of the 5. One of the school districts chose to go their own separate route, and they've hired a couple of the school security officers rather than school resource officers that we provide. But currently, I do still have 3 of the school districts. Huntingdon has their own. They go through the Huntingdon Police Department, but I have McKenzie Special School District, Hollow Rock, Brewston Central School District, and South Carroll Special School District. And like I say, actually met with Superintendent Mr. Watkins from McKenzie last week, and his school board has asked that we provide 2 more for a total of 3 in their school. So,
speaking of SRO officers, I've got an idea how to help this problem. This is just from me personally. What about allowing dads, granddads, and in some cases moms walk to schools? There's no way anybody's going to hurt them babies when you got a granddaddy walking up down the halls. Yeah. Would you be against that idea?
And I tell folks, I've been asked this question before, and actually I serve with the Sheriff's Association on the legislative committee. I see both sides of that.
What would be the downside? Are you going to say training?
No, I'm not going to say training. We live in a small community. I know the folks that need to be in there with guns, and when you go to somewhere, a Memphis or a Nashville, and there's so many people in that.
But most of your, and I hate to butt in on you, Sheriff, please forgive me, but in Tennessee, you can get a permit to carry a gun. So if you've got the permit in your pocket that allows you to carry, because all these schools have no gun zone. Right. That's like saying, come on in here and shoot.
It makes for
That's
a
the
soft
craziest
target.
thing I've ever seen in my life. Why not I'm a granddad. I got 10 grandchildren, aged from 2 years old to graduating.
Right.
Why not let granddads like myself have a day or two? Let us go through them schools. I've got a permit to carry my gun, and ain't nobody gonna hurt them babies when Big Mike's in the house. Are you against that idea?
I'm not totally against that. That would be up to each school district.
I'll tell you why, and not disrespecting either one of y'all in the law enforcement, because like I said, I got a lot of friends. One of your deputies is my business partner. You know, I've told you that. They tell me when I bring that up, well, Mike, they got to have training. And like I said, not disrespecting y'all, but I got to say this. That's what training got you down in Texas. You got them stand outside for an hour and got them babies killed.
That's not, and of course, we're
not
not there.
I understand.
And don't know what the situation
I understand. I wasn't there.
We train ours to go into that situation.
I would hope you do, because that really gripes me to know that there was parents and grandparents that was willing to go in there. Because there's nothing like, excuse my language, a pissed off mama. They ain't nobody going to mess with them. And I'll be back. Mr. Pratt, my idea of letting parents, grandparents do the guard in these schools. Have you against it or for it, or do you have either way?
I've got a different approach to it. Tennessee had the foresight to say, okay, we know that law enforcement can't protect everybody, so now we're going to let you open carry, concealed carry without a permit. Now, I think that at a minimum, if the principal wants to, he or she should have a handgun on them. Now, they should have to have a permit, and they should have to go to their local law enforcement and do their 40 hours of training and weapons qual every year with a department. Like us.
Are you talking about teachers or are you talking about citizens?
No, I'm talking about, put it this way. Let's say for 1 minute that.
But who are you speaking of?
The teachers.
Okay, I'm talking about citizens like me as a grandfather. Well, and Patrick, you're a grandfather yet?
I am.
Right,
I am.
like us. You know, we are. I got a license carry permit, and
now if you want to come every morning.
It wouldn't cost nothing.
Right, but if you want to come every morning and every afternoon, what makes a school vulnerable is when they're going in and then when they're letting out, because most schools allow kids to move in off the buses and the doors are unlocked and they move through the school. That is the prime opportunity for an assault onto that school.
Well, they get in at all times, Mr. Pratt.
Yeah, they do.
If you got 5 or 6, not just one. I'm talking about, can you imagine how many parents would volunteer? And they need to be vetted to make sure they're not crazy. I agree. But let these parents walk the halls, let them eat free, give them a chair to sit in.
But look at it like this, though. Trained law enforcement agents, trained officers, only hit 30% of what they aim at in a crisis situation.
Well, they didn't even try to aim in Texas.
I don't even want to jump off in that river and swim.
But I'm just saying, I'm using that one.
I would tell you this. If at Jackson Police Department and at that Sheriff's Department, I would dare say, and I know it, if you're the first man on scene, you don't wait for another man to come. You don't wait for another officer.
And I may be talking out of context down there. We all don't know the detail.
It doesn't matter, though. The first man on scene should have been through that door.
They wouldn't apt to be coming in or shooting anyway if they knew
That's absolutely
that
right.
you had parents, and Andy, this is to you too, if you had parents and grandfathers like myself, Patrick, and just the average walking around man that was walking the halls of them schools, walking around in the parking lots of them schools. I'm an older guy. When I went to school, we had guns in the back of our
That's absolutely right. And nobody got killed
in. And people's not changed. Times have changed.
That's right.
So what would be wrong with that? You wouldn't be no cost to anyone because they'd be volunteers. I mean, you've got football volunteers. You've got all of these programs that help these football players. And we're missing letting these babies get shot, and they're blaming the cops. I'm going to be a double-edged sword. They're blaming the cops in Texas. They didn't go in. I don't know why. And I'm a supporter of cops. I mean, or I wouldn't have y'all on here, you know. But That right there seemed to me like when I seen footage myself, and this is to both of y'all, to where they was handcuffing mamas and daddies and wouldn't let them go in there. And they kept saying, just let me go. My baby's in there. I don't think we would have the school shooting. It's just my opinion. And
I agree with you. Because
I think if you allowed me, Patrick, or you when you retire, to go in there and protect these babies, if these shooters knew that they walk in that door, you're going to meet a mama, you're going to meet a granddaddy, because most of them are cowards because they shoot themselves. Right. So they're not going to come in there. When you got a sign up there that says, and I want to disclose, I am the ex-chairman of the NRA, and I've been keynote speakers for the NRA. So I want that perfectly clear. I don't want y'all to think that I'm just crazy about it, but I am. That's just a pet peeve that I've had for years. Why don't we allow these parents to go in there?
Well, see, that's, the Second Amendment gives us the right to bear arms. I don't understand why, as a parent of myself, that if I got my pistol on, that I have to take it off before I can walk my child up to the door. Okay, because if you get caught with it and you're not a police officer on school grounds, you're going in a set of handcuffs and away you'll go. Mm-hmm. To me, allowing whoever is licensed to carry, or in this state now, you don't even have to be licensed to carry. But I agree with you.
Let's get that as a question then, because I think Mike's topic, I agree with the premise that Mike has, and I wanted to follow up with, a lot of places have proposed, kind of I think what you were going to say, to have people identified within the school, whether they be teachers or coaches or vice principals, whomever in the school, to be allowed to have firearms on them at all times. So the question now becomes, if not allowing Mike and myself to do that, would you support or do you think that allowing teachers to carry firearms would be a positive thing to have go on in Carroll County?
100%, because it's been proven that thugs and bad guys will not prey on hard targets. If they know that, let's just say 40% of that school is armed, they're not going to go inside that school and take the risk, because we see it all the time, Jackson. Do you know why bad guys don't attack police departments? Because everybody in there shoots back. Do you know why they go and rob little old ladies or little old men walking out to their car and target? Because 90% of them aren't carrying any guns. A bad guy would be out of his mind, which they are anyway. They're crazy in a wombat anyway to do whatever they're doing. That guy in Texas was a madman. He had lost his mind. But just think, if only 30% of that school had been armed, he would have never got to the position that he'd have been shot on the street.
Or 5 parents or grandparents.
Or 5 parents or grandparents.
Moving on, about the budget. Are you funded well enough for your needs and about your wants? There's a difference in what you need and what you want.
There's definitely a difference.
And can you do them both without a tax increase?
Like I said, different between needs and wants. Mm-hmm. Our needs are, and like I say, I did address our salary this year, and our budget committee.
You did say that you give money back, so I want to bring that up.
I have give money back every year.
That's right.
And that's good. Out of my budget. But like I say, our budget committee asked us to come with a 0% increase in salary this year, and I just told them that I couldn't, with the economic times that we're seeing, the inflation that we're seeing, I couldn't in good faith look at my employees and say, look,
I can't get you more money.
I didn't ask for it. I said, so I did. I went to the committee and asked for a raise, and they actually listened to what I had to say, and I carried them some figures from other places and facts from other places, and they did eventually give the whole county a 3% raise. That's but they were able to do so without a tax increase, as you said. That's and as far as wants, just like Mr. Pratt was talking about, I would love to have the computers in every car, the computer like I say, the map that shows where every car is and everything like that. But I've looked at every way that I can, and I can't feasibly find a way to pay for it without taking away from something else that is a need, not a want.
Or raising taxes.
That's like I say, I got the blame for a tax increase back several years ago, and like I say, when they built that new jail, and technically we generate enough money to pay for that jail without the tax increase. But like I say, I don't want to be the cause of a tax increase.
I want to follow up with you on the same question about the budget. Are you familiar with budgets and how to do budgets and all that?
Yeah, because when I was in the Army as a first sergeant and a sergeant major, you run on billion-dollar budgets instead of,
Do you think that there's enough budget in the sheriff's department for your wants and needs without a tax increase?
Well, see, I don't understand the concept of giving money back and then saying you don't have money to provide salary increases. I don't understand the concept of saying I give back $1 million in my budget, but yet I can't go buy computers. If you've got money to give back to the county, then that means that you had money to fund salary increases. That means that you had money to fund buying computers. So in the military, if you don't spend every dime at the end of the year, then you're shorted at whatever you turn back. You're shorted at the next year on your budget.
A lot of local governments are the same way.
Right.
I know that.
So to give money back and then on the next hand say I don't have money to give you a 5% pay increase, but yet I give back $1 million. To me, I mean, how does that work?
I kind of have a view on how that works. As an administrator, I was just going to give you an opportunity because I feel that this is something that, as an administrator, it's critical to understand at a county level the budget process. So I want to let the administrator that's currently set in that position explain that giving back at the end of the year.
All right. So as I said earlier, we roughly close to a $6 million budget. Okay. But now that budget is broken down between the sheriff's office and the jail. Okay. So you have two separate budgets. One of them, I think this year, one of them was 2.5 and the other one was like 2.9 million. But inside of that budget, there is line items. And as he said, the salary there, at the end of the year, it would be great if whatever I saved at the end of the year, I could just split up amongst the employees. But there's a thing called the audit that we go through every year as well. And the comptroller comes in and they look to make sure that you didn't pay for this out of the wrong line item. And that, like I say, we're constricted by the budget. Like I say, there's a thing called a letter of it's a letter that we have to sign before we can legally pay any employee that says that this is the number of employees we're going to have and this is the rate that we can pay them. Mm-hmm. So like I say, that's set at the beginning of the budget, not at the end. So I would love to be able to take that money and like I say, but I try to be as conservative as I can be with the county's money. I spend it just like it was my own,
we should be able to move. There's even in local government, there's ways to move money from one line item to another. Because I used to do it all the time to have budgets that come out balanced. And if I needed, I'd just move it from one line item within the government, the restraints of the law. I could move from one line item to another, so that I could fund things that I needed to fund, and things that come in short, they would still come in.
I think one of the things, Mike, that I hear a lot in these debates, and why I wanted to kind of take a pause on it, it's always money, and the concept of county budget line items and whatnot. As an administrator, they are responsible for a pot of money and a duty. Yeah. And if they have to budget that at the beginning of the year of what that is, and if they don't spend all that money, that's not a surplus of money per se. That means that they were either conservative in what they did, or they didn't fulfill a role that they had said they were going to do, potentially.
Or
prices change, or whatever. But
because you've got stuff like food cost.
Yes.
You've got gasoline. But he probably, July when's your budget end? July, would it be like most of them?
Well, like I say, and we're a little bit of a disadvantage there because we had to turn in our budget numbers this year. They asked us to be early, so we had to turn in budget numbers in March.
Yeah, before $5 gas.
We know what's happened between March and now to the price of gas.
So you will see similarly a budget shortfall.
It's possible.
So you'll potentially see a budget shortfall because expenditures are going to exceed what you had intended.
I would think it'd be robbing Peter to pay Paul, or
Yes.
the budget committee is going to understand and come back and
I went to the county commission last night where they voted on the tax rate to stay the same and voted on the budgets for the coming year. And one of the commissioners asked me, "Are you going to have enough money in your gas budget?" And I told him, I said, that's questionable because the figures I turned in were in March, So
how could you? It's double.
At least for the first quarter,
It's double.
if it drops.
Sheriff, if you can do that, I need to put you in charge of some of my budgets because, you got gas. It was in March. It was, what, $3? And it's pushing $5? And you burn a lot of fuel.
We do. We
Go ahead, Patrick.
Well, I wanted to go back to the jail, Sheriff, and the first, I do want to ask a question for you to please clarify to me, because out of ignorance. Your current jail, you refer to it as a new jail. Was it a brand new construction, or was it just refurbishing the existing?
We actually had a two-part construction there. The what I call the old jail was built in 1977. Built in 1977, and it was built to house 48 inmates. So it was added on to, I believe, in '98. They built a couple of dormitory style that they put there in '98. And the problem with that being, it upped the capacity another 60-something inmate. But the physical plant was built in 1977, was made to feed 48 inmates and wash clothes for 48 inmates. And so it really couldn't be added on to again at that point. So they built a new facility in 2013. They did salvage the 64 beds that was the dormitory style built in 1998. And then once the new facility was built and moved into, we used inmate labor to completely gut the building built in 1977. Gutted it down to the 4 walls on the outside, and then used inmate labor to refurbish that to turn into our sheriff's office. So that's where we actually, my office today was a drunk tank from 1977 until we refurbished it in 2013. So we done the best of both. We actually built a new facility and then repurposed the old one as well.
Fighting drugs, that's a big issue. You've got drugs now that you touch it, you can die from fentanyl.
That's another one of my proud moments. I've got.
That is a direct cause of other crimes like theft, assault with other crimes. What is you as a sheriff doing to combat that epidemic, let's call it?
As I said earlier, I had some experience. I worked for several years as an agent with the Drug Task Force. I currently sit as a board member to the Drug Task Force and actually the chairman of the board right now. I've actually got 2 agents assigned to the Drug Task Force. I got one that is an agent working in Carroll County and in the other counties as well. And then I've got an agent that's on the interstate, and he's been on fire lately. A couple of months ago, he seized 115 pounds of marijuana, and just this week he seized 7 kilos of cocaine and $294,000 cash out of a.
Does that go to the budget? Does that go to the budget? That's a joke, Sheriff. Sorry.
Some of it does. It goes to a drug fund. And, but
I know about that one.
Anyway, I also have a have an agent assigned to the DEA task force and he works all of West Tennessee, and he's been involved in some major cases, and then we prosecuted some with the FBI that resulted. I've actually got one that's doing life over a drug charge right now. So we've been very proactive in like I say, at the local level, the state level, and even the federal level. We've done everything we can to try that, and also as a co-founder of the Carroll County Drug Coalition. Like I say, we went into the schools through the vocational school, and we've actually got a grant and got two full-time employees that run a coalition program, and modeled it a lot after the one that's here in Henry County. We got some ideas from Monty on that and went forward, so I'm proud of that as well.
Mr. Pratt, like I said, drugs is a big issue. Fentanyl. There's just drugs out there that you have to carry stuff on your side now to.
Yeah, Narcan.
You might even have to give one of your officers if they get around that stuff. What would you do as sheriff to fight that problem? Because drugs can lead to theft, domestic fights. It's just the gateway to all other crimes. What would you do if you was elected as sheriff to combat this problem we're having?
Do the exact same thing Andy's doing, except the problem that I have with is this. We've been fighting drug problems. They started out in the 60s. And then in the 80s, they went to 3 strikes and you're going to prison for life. And we have gained zero ground on the drug problem. It's worse today than it was then, except now we've got stuff like fentanyl, something called a crocodile, where when you inject it into your arm, it eats the muscles off of your body after so many injections. The only thing that law enforcement can do is, just like Sheriff Dickson said, we can arrest them till we turn blue in the face. And I know his deputies arrest in the Huntington Police Department and Jackson PD. We arrest the same people over and over and over, doing the exact same thing over and over, until our judicial system cracks down on them. I mean, and I'm not talking about you're going to go over here for 20 days, you're going over here for 45 days or whatever. I mean, absolutely strangleholds these people that we keep sending back and back. Our guys out there on the street, their hands are tied. They can only do what they can do. They can catch tonnage of drugs. They can catch pounds of it. And until the judicial system...
Have you got a plan? There's drug dealers because there's drug users.
That's right.
Have you got a plan to maybe combat the user side of this problem? And that's going to come to you also. You know, there wouldn't be drug dealers if there wasn't drug users. And I agree, we need to punish them. But if you got a plan maybe to work on the using side of this?
Well, the problem with trying to catch a user, you got to catch them.
Not catch them, but work on the reason why they're users out there.
Well,
there's not a person out there in this world, I hate to butt in on you, Mr. Pratt. I don't think there's any person in this world that don't know what meth will do to you. You know what I mean? Unless you've been living under a rock for the last 30 years, you know what meth will do to you, right? I mean, would you agree, both of y'all? Somewhere there's somebody right now trying it for their first time.
Well, you know,
what would you do as a sheriff, or what can you do as a sheriff to combat that guy that's going to start his first drug use tonight?
Well, there's really nothing you can do for that guy that says, I'm going to try it tonight. Right. Where we have to go back into is get into our school systems, and as bad as this is going to sound, those 9 and 10-year-olds, because I got an 11-year-old son, they need to see graphic pictures of what that drug is going to do to you when you try it. Because most people that try drugs are usually starting out in around the 6th or 7th grade, some even younger, because they sit all the time in their house. They're exposed to it every single day, so it's nothing new to them. So we have to get to them before they start using it, because once they get hooked on it, we can send them to drug rehab 4, 5, 6, 7 times, and they're going to go right back to it. It's like a criminal in the jail. We can try and rehabilitate them, but when we let him out of jail and he's a thief, chances are he's going to go and steal something again.
I think it starts at home. I agree.
It does.
I think it starts. Mr. Pratt, like I said a while ago, you know, there's drug dealers because there's drug users. I mean, That's why that's why people sells microphones, because people use microphone. Have you got anything that you want to add to?
Like I say, we were successful. I tried getting the coalition going. I had tried for about a year and a half, and I had involved the Tennessee National Guard, their counter drug unit, and got them, and we were making some inway with them. And then Lisa Norris, she teaches criminal justice at the Carroll County Vocational School. She was trying to get them as well, and neither one of us was having a whole lot of luck on our own, so we partnered together. And when we partnered together, like I say, we had the sheriff's office on board, and then we got the school system on board. So, like I say, using the coalition to try to reach them at an earlier age. And then we also partnered with some local churches to do a Celebrate Recovery program in the jail, to where they actually come in and try to give them the ability to, the tools that they need to succeed outside without the drug use. And then also I have a big ministry going on at the jail. We baptized a bunch, and there was so few people that I seen actually get away from methamphetamine once it got a hold of them. The ones that did get away had two things in common. Number one is they accepted Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. And number two, they changed the group of folks they run around with when they got out of jail. And like I say, those folks, like I say, there have been some success stories. And like I say, there's some folks right now that have went through our ministry program in the jail, and they've went out and started their own ministry when they got out of jail. So
I'm a little older than all of y'all up here, because I've heard your years and all that. You know, I'm the old man. That's hard to believe. I'm the old man.
Not for me.
Yeah, I'm older than you.
No, it's not hard for me to believe.
Oh, hush. But I can tell you, in my going on 60 years of what's happening, it's the breakdown of the family.
That's right.
When I was a child, my mother stayed home. My dad worked. My mother kind of beat me into sense. You all understand? I don't mean I was abused. No, I wasn't. We don't have that now. We got two families. A family has to have both family members working to survive this day and time. That's a society that we've built. That's how civilization has carried on, to where you got to have the mama and the daddy both working. So the children, in a lot of cases, are doing what? They're raising themselves.
latchkey kids, as
that's
they call
right.
them.
And you've got TV out there that's showing you how cool it is to do this stuff that people's doing. And what do you expect civilization to do when you got a parent that's having to work, a mom and a dad that's both having to work?
Yeah, they're out imitating what they see.
They see on TV, because they don't have role models like their dad. Like I was a child, and your father, I know your father. Your father's my friend. You had a role model, and I'm sure you had one. I'm sure you had a role model. We all had a role model, but a lot of these children don't have that. And Hansel McAdams used to be the judge, and he was a district attorney. He's a good friend of mine. He started a mentoring program when he was a judge, and I thought was a good program. I hope it's still going. It may not be, where people like myself, Patrick,
I remember
would
that.
just take these children and just spend time with them. And I've got a few children out there that I did that with, not just only through the boxing, just children. But I think that's a big problem, is the breakdown of the family. And I don't think that's a sheriff's job to try to fix. I did ask y'all that question, and y'all both got good ideas. But it's a society problem that when we get serious about fixing the problem, we're going to have to look in our own mirrors and look at them mirrors and say, it's probably us.
I'm sure Mr. Pratt sees this at Jackson as well as we do. We sometimes have parents that want us to raise their children.
That's right.
They call us and want us to scare their children, and I say that's wrong. I don't want the kids to be scared of law enforcement. I want them to be able to come up to us if they're ever in trouble.
Yeah.
We got to cut it out, but I got to ask you a question. I'll let it out of the bag. I'm a big Second Amendment supporter, and we got some laws coming down through the government. It's going to be a law instead of being executive orders. I think they're passing it in the House and now the Senate and all. Where do you stand on gun control? You okay with me having a AR-15? Are you okay with me having a pistol? They're gnat. Where'd you bring in gnats from?
California.
Oh, that's what I thought it was, California. It was in my ear. It was sand flea.
As you alluded to before, I am a huge Second Amendment fan. I've spent the last weekend. We hosted the Tennessee State Rifle and Pistol Championships at the Carroll County Shooting Sports. My son is
your son is active on the shooting team.
Correct.
Yeah.
He's won several state championships with rifles.
Congratulations to him, by the way.
And then today, actually, we spent part of the day today in Nashville. He was competing in the Tennessee Scholastic Clay Target program today at the state championships.
Back when I was a chairman of NRA, we funded buying ammunition and all for a lot of these programs around
Like I say, I've been a coach with that program, the McKenzie Shooting Sports, for several years. And like I say, AR-15 is nothing more than a semi-automatic rifle. It's just
automatic and semi-automatic are really the wrong words to use. All guns that load themselves, it's automatic loading. That's where it come from.
Yeah.
They say semi-automatic, automatic. Hell, there's no such word. Automatic stands by how the gun loads itself. Single shot, you shoot it, pull the trigger, put a shell in it, you have to do it manually. Automatics will load themselves. Then you got fully automatic.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're turning gun owners into smokers.
correct.
They're going to make us gun owners. I ask you the same question. They're going to make us gun owners, just like smokers, which I do them both. I own guns and I smoke. So I'm going to be.
You're going to be screwed, Mike.
No, they're going to be screwed because I'm not going to do. I'm going to do it my way. I know what you're saying, but they're turning, and we can't allow that because in my opinion, the amendments was put in place. The first one is what? Freedom of speech, and it's backed up by Second Amendment.
That's right.
So if you can't get out there and talk about your government or talk about your sheriffs or talk about people, if they won't listen to your words, take your gun and go make them listen. What do you feel about the Second Amendment?
Well, as you know, the Second Amendment was not designed. It was designed to protect us, the people, we the people,
from
the government,
That's right.
an oppressive government. And it says in there that we should stand up against an oppressive government when they're doing it. You know, I hear a lot of law enforcement guys say, yeah, I'm pro Second Amendment, this, that, and the other, until they see a guy walking down the road with a gun, and then they want to get out on him and say, hey, give me your ID. We're not a stop and ID state. Or they'll see him walking down the road with, like we had a guy in Jackson walk down the road with an AR inside the case, and people called in on him. We responded, and when I got there, I took him out of handcuffs because he was not violating the law. He has the right to carry that. But even in law enforcement, we have law enforcement officers that aren't trained on what the Second Amendment is. They're not even trained on what the new right to carry law in this state is. So when they see a guy or a girl walking down the street, or they see a gun in the car, the first thing they want to do is take it, run the serial numbers, and they don't have that authority to do it. I am the most pro-Second Amendment person you ever meet. I think everybody, if you're not a violent convicted felon, if you don't have a gun on you in today's society where you can protect yourself, it's just foolishness on your part.
I agree. Well, we've been a little over an hour.
It's going by quick.
I want you to look at camera 3 or 4, whichever one. Tell me in my ear which camera you want Mr. Pratt to look at. Camera 4. And I want you to convince me and the thousands of people out there that's watching us and going to watch this why they should vote for you as the next sheriff of Carroll County. There's your camera. All
right. As I said, I am the conservative Republican candidate for sheriff of Carroll County. I am a pro-Second Amendment person. I've got 10 years in law enforcement experience, and I have over 20 years in the military. I've been to every leadership school that there is possible out there. It's time to move forward with our law enforcement officers in Carroll County. It's time that we, and I hate to say this way, out with the old and move in with the new. And that's why you should vote for me as for sheriff in Carroll County.
Andy, camera 1, tell us why we and all the constituents in your county should re-elect you as the sheriff of Carroll County.
Like I say, I've been humbly blessed to be your sheriff for the past 12 years, and I can do nothing other than stand on the job that I've done for you. I've tried to be transparent. I've tried to be a good steward of the county's money, tried to keep everything as conservative as I could. I just think that we've got a good department in place, and would ask that ask once again for your support, continued support, and would like to be able to keep our good department together and go forward into the future.
All righty. Patrick?
It's great show. Great candidates. I want to thank both y'all and for putting up with me and our questions, but I think it was a great show.
I think the citizens of Carroll County has got two good candidates.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank you, and I want to thank you for coming in. I want to wish you both luck. And I think you both showed the contrast between the two of you. I think that each one of you's got an idea, but I'm thinking you're both wanting to get to the same area. I would agree, and I think that they
want to make the citizens of Carroll County safer and make Carroll County better.
So, folks, there you have it. You have the sheriff now, Andy Dickson. He's on my left over here, and you've got his challenger, Mr. Tim Pratt. He is. They are the two candidates for the Carroll County Sheriff, and I wanted to bring them on here, so there's another picture where you can look up and talk to them and see what's going on. But I wanted y'all to see them and meet them. I'm sure people in Carroll County knows maybe both of them, but maybe there's some questions that you wanted we didn't get to ask. But we did show a contrast between the two. I asked some questions that meant to me about school shootings and I think it was some good answers from both of them.
Yeah, definitely got a contrast between the two.
That's a good one, man. But I want to appreciate you again, Sheriff. Don't go nowhere. I want to appreciate you, Mr. Pratt. Don't go nowhere. And I want to wish you both luck. I mean, the citizens got to pick it up.
Yep, got to do it. All right.
Tell them what we got next week, man.
All right. Next Tuesday, got Mr. Cody Nance, the bull rider, coming in, and Travis McLeese will be here to talk about PBR in Paris, July 1st and 2nd. Plus, next week, Mike will be talking with the folks from Hyperion X about titanium mining business in Camden, and it's going to be live on Facebook at 7
p.m.
Absolutely.
I got a miner, David
Hayes. David.
He's going to be in there with me. He's going to help me get through the process of
He understands it.
He understands.
He knows how to get in there and get it.
I'm not real smart. That's why I have to have my chief political analyst Patrick with me, and I'll have to get minors. See, when you're not really intelligent like me.
Can we come up with a good title for Tater too?
Well,
I want to work on that. Can I work on that one?
I've got a couple, but I can't say it.
Oh, I know.
And also, folks, put that back up there about the boxing coming up. Don't forget, people, this weekend at the Henry County Fairgrounds, Saturday, June the 25th. What does the time say? Doors open at 3. Can I read that?
I'm going.
3, fights at 4 p.m. Come out there and support these people. It's $5 to get in. You get Cokes and popcorn. You're going to see some amateur boxing. Come on out there and throw them a 10.
Yeah,
it's all a fundraiser. It helps these children. We've had some boxers go all the way to the Olympics.
Yeah.
We've done good in Henry County.
Sure have.
And I got a new deal coming up. We also, I forgot to tell you, we got the Celebrity Bull Ride coming up.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that. The Mike Weatherford Show is involved in a Celebrity Bull Ride, mechanical bull. Are you going to be the one riding for the Mike Weatherford Show?
You want me to get up there? I do it.
Get up there.
I got to go see if, get everything worked out afterwards, but I'll get on it.
All right. When you fall off and you bleed, make it real blood.
Oh, I will.
And when you fall off and your hip comes out of joint, scream out.
No,
now make it hurt. You'll scream.
Oh, I will.
But don't forget that, folks. We're going to talk about that next week. And also, coming up in July, I'm starting something new. We got a Inflation Buster giveaways planned.
Yay.
These giveaways are courtesy of a partnership between the Mike Weatherford Show and one of our big sponsors. So you stay tuned. More details are coming in July. We're going to help do some giveaways to help these people.
That's good.
It's going to be a 12-week program we're going to do that's going to help people fight this inflation.
Outstanding.
And don't forget, Health Matters with Dr. Milton returns Thursday, June 30th at 7 p.m. She's going to be talking about hemp and CDB products. Like and follow her on Facebook, and don't forget, Thursday, June 30th at 7 p.m. live, she'll be back. What do you think?
Yeah, I can't wait for that one too.
I wonder if they're going to be smoking in there. We got the cops in here.
I
hope
know.
They don't do all that smoking that crap.
I
and
know.
have another police come in, they throw me up against the wall.
Well,
the drug dogs go
maybe
to
if we keep them here,
maybe.
Then they won't bother us.
Maybe they ain't mad at us.
Yeah,
there's pictures out there with the sheriffs. Was it Benton County and Henry County? Humphreys County Sheriff and Henry County Sheriff frisked me right here.
I know it.
Throwed me right up on there.
I
and frisked
know,
me,
they
man.
did.
Hell, I felt like I was young.
Yeah.
I felt
Being
like it.
frisked, huh?
Yeah. What does that mean? Oh, they're telling me they ain't gonna smoke.
Oh, no smoking.
No smoking.
It's
Okay,
kind of like on
right.
Anchorman. You know, whenever they tried crack on Anchorman, did you see that? Anchorman 2?
Yeah, I think so.
Was it?
They smoking crack?
Yeah, Anchorman 2.
Hell, I don't want to smoke no crack.
No.
I don't
They were just doing it to show the public, you know, the effects of it.
Will you do it?
Smoke crack?
Yeah.
Hell no.
That's what I thought. Hey, you say a dirty word.
No.
I'm proud of you, brother. I want to thank all my viewers. I want to thank all my sponsors. Man, without y'all, I couldn't do this little show we got going. And I want to thank my crew. I mean, I've got the best crew that you ever had. Stage manager out here, Jason. I mean, top notch. Takes care of everything. Go, bro. I've got him in the control room. I don't know. We got Kevin. We've got, help me here now. We got Dakota. We got
Chad,
Dana. She does all the media. Dana's just, we got Ethan, Terry, Chad. We got a control room back here. That's where all that God talking goes on in our ears. And plus, I got a little extra. Where's that thing hanging at? Over here? Which side's it on? I don't know. It may have fell out. Hell no, here it is. He talks to me sometimes.
I really thought it was God.
I do. Yeah. See, he's doing it now. You know, when you see me jump around, I'm making sure it ain't you. Yeah. And I want to appreciate you.
Oh, man.
You are my buddy.
Yes, sir.
You take care of him when it comes to this political stuff. You're
love
my political
analyst.
Analyst. Okay.
There we go.
We'll make sure I say the word right. You know, right. I can't say them fancy words.
Yeah.
But anyway, folks, I want to appreciate all of y'all tuning in. I want to thank all my crew. And don't forget, next Tuesday, 7 p.m., we've got the mining out of Camden, and we've got the PBR coming in. So next Tuesday, 7 p.m. live, and don't be late.